Spider Pig does whatever wait, I guess I'm going with Spider Ham. Crap. Spider Ham. Ham. Right. Howdy neighbors, David here. And today on Boondock Stallions, we're asking the question, is Charlotte from Charlotte's Web one of the spiders responsible for biting Peter Parker? Well, long story short, probably not. But just because that Charlotte wasn't the spider that directly bit Peter Parker doesn't mean that she isn't actually an integral part of the entire MCU. So, before we get started, go ahead and give this video a like and subscribe, and we'll get this bad boy started. Now, like I said, I have gone back through Charlotte's Web and all of the Spider-Man origin story lore that I could find that would work and make sense to fit this very particular theory. And while I haven't found a way to connect Charlotte directly to Spider-Man other than changing up just a bit of the backstory, I think I can make this work. So, first things first, let's take a look at how Charlotte could be directly related to Spider-Man. If you're familiar with The Amazing Spider-Man 2, I know a lot of people aren't because it wasn't that great, but they had given Peter Parker's parents a backstory. I can't say that again 3 times fast, bet. Anywho, so they gave Peter Parker's parents a backstory and decided that they were a mystery, some sort of secret spy scientist that were working on some top secret government thing. And then we never got The Amazing Spider-Man 3 to answer all of these amazing questions that have been set up, which is kind of lame, but I'm not going to dwell on that. But if we follow that storyline that Peter's parents were in fact spies and look at the fact that the original Spider-Man movie came out, or I'm sorry, the original Spider-Man story was set in 1962. So, before we get started, let's go ahead and do a little bit of math on the timelines. Now, Charlotte's Web is set in a very vague timeline. All of the publishers have said that it is somewhere between 1930 and 1950. That is a big gap. So, what we're going to do is, for the sake of this argument, we're going to narrow that down from 1939 to 1945, which is exactly when World War II was going on. And during World War II in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the U.S. government wasn't just fighting Nazis, they were fighting HYDRA. And from what we know about HYDRA and the super soldier serum, it was created by Abraham Erskine, then it passed hands to Armin Zola, then it went to Howard Stark, then it went to Bruce Banner, and then it went to Wilfred Nagel. Now, as far as company ownership of it, since World War II, it went from HYDRA to the SSR, to the USAF, to Stark Industries, to the Power Broker, and now, during Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the Flag Smashers. So, there is a long chain of command and passing from hand to hand going on with the super soldier serum. So, sometime during these years, what if Peter Parker's parents were actually Nazi scientists or working against Nazi scientists here in the U.S. to create a super soldier serum just like the one that had created Captain America, and doing it off in some rural random area. We know that this does happen in a lot of movies and in a lot of actual historical facts that Nazi scientists would be spread out. Going with that timeline, it would actually make sense that if Peter Parker's parents were working for either HYDRA or the USAF shield of the day to create this super soldier serum, then you could assume that, like in the Amazing Spider-Man story, that it was something they tested on themselves and passed on to their son, right? And these years would actually line up as the very first Spider-Man comic book was printed in 1962, 17 years after World War II had ended. You could assume that Peter's parents had tested the super soldier serum on themselves and then passed it on to the original Spider-Man the way that they did in the Amazing Spider-Man, and we just don't know that backstory because it was covered up. So that is one way of getting to this story. Theory number 2, as for how this could work out, is, like I said, if there were scientists working on the super soldier serum at random places spread out around the world, it's likely that they would have been in a rural area and they would have let one escape. Not on purpose, it would have been on accident. And I mean, let's look at the facts. It's historically, from all of the Spider-Man incarnations, they have been a little lax with security and the rules, and they always seem to be missing that one spider that ends up being the one to bite Peter Parker and set us on our way. So let's say a scenario like that happened and one of these super intelligent super spiders got out of its cage and went and lived on a farm. Now, what evidence is there that Charlotte would be a super soldier or a super spider or any type of genetically enhanced spider? Well, that is written right in the books and in her webs. Spider is allegedly your basic barn spider, Charlotte A. cavatica, more commonly known as Araneus cavaticus, the barn spider. But this simple, basic barn spider was not only able to read the human language, which, by the way, is another species language, it was able to write this human language and comment on the characteristics of a pig using its web as an interspecies communication device to let the humans know that we had some pig. And I'm assuming she has some sort of hypnotic powers, because how often do you see a spider write words into a web and go, some pig, instead of, the spider's writing! Is this Satan? Oh my God, it's possessed by the devil! It's witchcraft! Burn it! But we don't do that. We just accept that the spider can read and write, and our focus is on the pig, which is insane to me because we have a spider that can read and write. So that right there is all the evidence I need to push through with this theory about how Charlotte could be a genetically enhanced super spider like the one that bit Spider-Man. Now I know what you're thinking. Those of us that sat around for the end of the book and cried like a bunch of little girls with a skin knee, Charlotte dies at the end of that movie, so there's no way that she was the one that bit Spider-Man. But before she died, we know that she did in fact leave a whole bunch of little baby super spiders that were able to fly off and do what they do, and left 3 with Wilbur. Now this is where the story actually gets interesting, because while I can't very well connect Spider-Man to Charlotte, I can theorize that Wilbur, that some special pig, the humble pig from the barn, is actually one of the ancestors of, are you ready? Peter Porker. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, Spider-Ham, Spider-Ham. And I mean, it's slapping us right in the face. Oh my goodness. How could we not have put that Wilbur was the great-great-grandfather of Spider-Ham / Peter Porker? Now, that's really all the evidence that I've got. I was just really happy to make the connection. And for those of you who don't know, I used to be a stand-up comedian, and it was part of my bit during stand-up comedy to put Charlotte as the spider that bit Peter Parker. But then when I transferred over to YouTube, I had this joke that actually had a legit theory based on the science and the numbers from the books and the movies. So let me know what you think down in the comments, and remember, be excellent to each other and party on, dudes.